was at every election, INEC will inform Nigerians, these are the number of people that have collected PVCs. So forget about the total number of registered voters. What you're going to see that day, the number of votes would be around this figure of those that have collected PVCs. If you have a situation where the number of people that have collected PVCs are more than the number of those actual voters, then you have a problem. In this case, in Kogi, INEC ought to have told us the number of either accredited voters in these areas where this 91 polls where election didn't take place, or the number of those that collected PVCs, at what case in these areas. And so if you have that number, and it is not up to the differentials that they are talking about, then you declare a winner. In this case, INEC is talking about accredited number of registered voters. Even in the poll, you had 1.5 million registered voters. But in actual sense, you have 511,000 plus actual voters. Or maybe 600,000 PVCs. That's
I'm sorry I have to go back to 33. It's quite an interesting one. We have to go back because you have to explain the exception there. And don't forget that this is also in pursuant to section 32.
Yes.
And not even 36.
No, 36 comes after 33.
So
32 talks about section 32.
Good. Because
talks about nomination.
It's talking about submission.
The submission of
right.
The proprietary right in any voter's card issued to any voter shall vest in the commission. Okay. So, if section 33, if you now go to section 33, it says a political party shall not be allowed to change or substitute candidates whose name has been submitted to section 32 of this act. Section 32, not 22.
No, 32. Then
section 32. Section 32 talks about prohibition of double nomination and nomination.
Good.
So if you have your name have been submitted pursuant to section 32, you cannot be substituted, except in the case of death. Section 36 that comes after 33 says if the man dies before election. That is the way laws are read. Laws are not read. You just take one section and close your eyes to the other sections. That is why they will say you read laws holistically. That is why even in interpreting this section, you also need to look at the provisions of the Constitution and related provisions of the Electoral Act. Because to hold on tenaciously to just one provision, is dangerous. At the end of the day, you create a problem for your political party. Even as we speak, there is no provision in the Electoral Act or in the 1999 Constitution that says that once a candidate, in a supplementary election, once a candidate dies in the process of supplementary election, that the candidate, the party, since the Supreme Court had said that the mandate belongs to the party, that the party cannot go on because the Supreme Court in the case of Hakim and Rochas had heard that supplementary election is a continuous process from the primary election, the main election. And so, if in the process of the main election, a candidate dies, is INEC going to say, look, one of the candidates had died, so stop all what you're doing? Or INEC will go ahead, announce a winner at the end of the day because the process had started and declare a winner.
But some lawyers say because there is no provision in the law,
yes,
what is nearest should be used in this case.
What is nearest is two things. There are two things. The interpretation of the Supreme Court that votes casted actually belongs to the party. The victory belongs to the party. But also that the party, you cannot reap the benefit of an election that you did not participate in. So midway, you can't come and say, my party is substituting me, like it happened in the case of Amechi. The Electoral Act was amended to exclude that.
In this case, now, if the APC goes ahead to do a substitution, then the
they might run into trouble at the end of the day in court. So what the nearest you have, like I explained, is either you look at the number of PVC collected as against the number of registered voters, because you can have 5 million registered voters, but you have 500,000 PVCs. It is those 500,000 that will vote, and not the 5 million that you have in your books. Okay. And so, if you look at the number of PVCs collected, and it is not up to the 41,000 voters that you are talking about, there is no way it is going to be up to that 41,000, then you declare winner. Because even if you say, let's assume that the number of PVCs collected is 15,000 or 21,000, even if you add it to the vote of the PDP, the APC will still emerge a winner. And so once you do that, you can now invoke Section 181. Because, and then the other nearest that I'm talking about now is that as we speak, there is no law that says once a candidate dies in the process, that polls should be suspended. There's no law. And so if there is no law that says polls should be suspended, and the Supreme Court had said that the supplementary, it's a continuous process of the main election, you can as well, under the in the eye of the law, since the Audu's name had been submitted and the party's logo is what is in the ballot, you can as well go ahead with your supplementary election and eventually declare winner.
Okay.
But to substitute that candidate, even if you do that, a candidate for an election is at liberty to choose his deputy. What happens to the deputy that already participated in the process, who already has votes? So you now carry his votes and give to somebody else?
So what do you think should happen? Because even the votes, talking about somebody else, also somebody else would want his or her vote to be given to someone else. So now we're talking about the electorate.
It is a joint ticket.
No, that is why some are saying cancel that.
No, you can't.
And
do you know why you cannot? Don't even go there, Suleiman. Because
people have gone there.
Once INEC announces a result, they no longer have the powers under the law to cancel or invalidate such result. It is only the tribunal, the Kogi State Electoral Tribunal, that can do that, not INEC. If the result had not been announced, it's a separate case. Some people also have argued that it can be likened to an aborted child, and that the process was aborted by the death of Audu. The answer also is no, because Audu, in the eye of the law, since there is no law that talks about dying in the process, Audu in the eye of the law, and the party and the nominated candidate is still alive.
So we'll come back to.
I'm telling you, because if you look at the process.
Just a moment here, Liborous Oshomah. We'll come back to wrap up this very quickly. Let's go on a short one, and we'll return. Stay with us. In 30 seconds, there must be a way out. Liborous Oshomah, what can you tell us?
Yeah, basically, like I have said, INEC, rather than ask for the party to substitute candidate, ought to either go ahead with the supplementary or apologize to Nigerians that there was a mistake somewhere. They ought to have looked at the number of accredited voters, or worst case, number of PVCs collected, rather than the number of registered voters. And with that, you would have a winner, and then save us all of this stress. Because if you go ahead with what you have, you might likely also run into murky waters.
Liborous Oshomah, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on the show today. Many thanks for being such nice company today and all through the week. I'm Sulaiman Alede.
Well, thank you for being wonderful company indeed. I'm Imana Amawe, and thank God it's Friday.
And I'm Nel Taigbe. Go out and be a good Nigerian. Have a good day.